Have you ever been told that you're too independent, that you're hard to read, or that you seem like you don't need anyone? If so, you might have grown up believing that's just your personality. But what if I told you that this fierce self-reliance isn't a flaw? It's a sign of something much deeper. It's a quiet, invisible strength you built to survive a world that didn't know how to see you. When we talk about childhood wounds, we often think of the loud things, yelling, punishment, or absence. But there's another kind of pain, one that doesn't leave a mark on the body, but etches itself into the soul. It's called emotional neglect. And if this happened to you, you didn't become too much or not enough. You became a master of self-preservation. Let's talk about the hidden pain of the child who was emotionally neglected and the incredible, resilient adult that child became. Here are 6 psychological reasons why emotional neglect shapes us the way it does, and why the traits you see as weaknesses are actually profound strengths. 1. You learned that your feelings were invisible, so you made yourself small. Psychology shows that children learn to understand their own emotions through the reflection of their caregivers. It's called mirroring. When you cried and a parent picked you up, named your feeling, "Oh, you're frustrated," you learned that your inner world mattered. But when your feelings were met with indifference, annoyance, or dismissal, your brain adapted. It learned that your emotional needs were a burden. So you stopped expressing them. You became the easy child, the one who didn't cause trouble, the one who seemed to have no needs at all. Here's the positive reframe. You developed an incredible ability to remain calm in chaos. You are not broken for being quiet. You are perceptive. You learned to read the room before you could read books. Now, as an adult, your challenge is to slowly, gently remind yourself that your feelings are not a burden. They are data, and you have the right to take up space. 2. You struggle with emotional permanence. We all know about object permanence, the idea that things exist even when we can't see them. Emotional permanence is similar. Research in attachment theory suggests that when a child's emotional needs are inconsistently met or rarely met, they grow up struggling to believe that love exists when they aren't feeling it in the exact moment. If a friend doesn't text back, you don't assume they're busy. You assume they're gone. If a partner is quiet, you don't assume they're tired. You assume they're done with you. This isn't paranoia, it's a survival mechanism. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for abandonment because in your childhood, connection was conditional or fleeting. But here's the strength. Because you know what it's like to feel invisible, you are often the most loyal, consistent person in your relationships. You understand the weight of presence. You don't take connection for granted. The work isn't to stop feeling this way. It's to find people who are safe enough to remind you, "I'm still here," until your nervous system finally learns to believe it. 3. You became hyper-independent because asking for help felt dangerous. If you grew up in an emotionally neglectful environment, asking for help probably backfired. Maybe you asked for comfort and received lecture. Maybe you expressed sadness and were met with, "Why are you crying? I'll give you something to cry about." Or maybe, worst of all, you asked and were simply ignored. Your brain wired itself to believe, "If I need someone, I will be disappointed. The only person I can truly rely on is me." As an adult, this looks like refusing to let anyone carry your groceries, doing everything yourself until you're exhausted, and feeling a knot of anxiety when someone offers to help. You might even pride yourself on being the one who holds it all together. But let's reframe this. Your hyper-independence is not a wall. It is a testament to your resourcefulness. You survived a childhood where you had to be your own parent. That is an extraordinary amount of strength. The next stage of your growth isn't to become weaker. It's to learn that strength can also look like letting someone hold a piece of the weight. Interdependence isn't weakness. It's the reward of trust. 4. You have a high tolerance for low treatment. This is a difficult one to hear, but psychology shows that our childhood environment sets our baseline for what feels like normal. If you grew up with emotional neglect, you learned to accept breadcrumbs of attention as a feast. A tiny bit of warmth felt like a massive gift. Because you were so starved for emotional connection, You learn to survive on very little. This can lead to adult relationships where you overfunction for people who underdeliver. You stay too long in friendships, jobs, or romantic situations where you are not truly seen because it feels familiar. It doesn't feel bad, it just feels like home. The strength here is profound. You have an immense capacity for empathy and forgiveness. You see the potential in people because you always hoped someone would see the potential in you. But your hidden strength is now evolving. You're beginning to realize that your tolerance is a superpower that you get to choose where to use. You don't have to stay in the desert anymore. You can choose to walk towards the oasis. The fact that you survived the desert means you can now appreciate the water more than anyone else. 5. You feel like an imposter in your own body. Emotional neglect often leaves a child feeling like they are living a double life. At home, you might have worn a mask of "I'm fine." At school, you might be the quiet achiever or the class clown, anything to avoid being seen as the needy kid. Research into false self-behavior suggests that when a child's authentic emotions are rejected, they develop a persona that is more acceptable to the caregiver. Over time, you become so good at being the version of yourself that doesn't upset anyone that you lose touch with who you actually are. You might look in the mirror and feel like you're a collection of roles, the reliable one, the calm one, the helper, rather than a real person. But here's the beautiful reframe. You are a shapeshifter of safety. You have an adaptable nature that allows you to navigate complex social situations with ease. You know how to make others feel comfortable because you spent your childhood trying to make your parents comfortable. The next chapter of your life is the excavation. It's the slow, sacred process of asking yourself, when no one is watching, what do I like? What do I feel? The mask you wore to survive can now become a tool you choose to use rather than a cage you live inside. 6. You struggle to identify what you need because you were never asked. This is perhaps the most defining trait of the emotionally neglected child, alexithymia, or the difficulty in identifying and describing one's own emotions. When you grow up in an environment where your internal world is ignored, you don't develop the vocabulary for it. A child who is asked, "Are you sad? Do you need a hug?" learns to connect physical sensations with emotional needs. But if you were never asked, your body might feel heavy or angry or anxious, and you have no idea why. You just feel off. You might feel guilty for having needs because you don't even know what the need is. But here is your hidden strength. You are a detective of the soul. Because you had to piece together your own emotional education, you likely have a deep curiosity about why people do what they do. You are likely incredibly introspective and wise beyond your years. You aren't lacking emotions, you are sitting on a goldmine of them, waiting to be named. Every time you pause and say, "I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm going to sit with it until I find out," you are reparenting yourself, and that is one of the most courageous things a person can do. If any of this resonated with you, I want you to hear something very clearly. Emotional neglect is called the invisible wound because no one talks about it. People look at you and see someone who has their life together. They see someone strong, capable, and unbreakable, and you are all of those things. But you are also someone who deserved to be seen as a child. And the fact that you are here, watching this, trying to understand yourself, that means you are finally giving yourself what you didn't get back then. You are not broken. You are not too independent or too hard to love. You are a survivor of an invisible storm, and the very traits you judge in yourself, your quietness, your self-reliance, your deep sensitivity, are the tools that carried you through. Healing isn't about tearing down the walls you built. It's about realizing you don't have to live behind them anymore. It's about learning to open the door, just a crack, and letting the right people in. If this video spoke to the part of you that's been trying to understand why you feel different or why you struggle to let people in, know that you are not alone. We explore these hidden parts of the psyche every week, the ways our past shapes our present, and how we can turn our deepest wounds into our greatest wisdom. If you're ready to keep understanding yourself on a deeper level, hit that subscribe button.
Join this community of people who are choosing to break the cycle, to heal the invisible wounds, and to finally, fully take up space. Because you deserve to be seen. Not for the version of yourself you learned to perform, but for the real, complex, beautifully resilient person you truly are.